So I thought I would share some thoughts with you today that are pretty vulnerable about where I'm at personally, but also at the same time speak to those of you, which is probably all of you, who are thinking about what's going on in our country right now, what you should be doing about it, what you can do about it. And I want to also just touch on the idea of selling, of continuing to make a living during times of enormous upheaval. Welcome to the Sunlight Tax Podcast. In this show, we're talking about taxes, money, and careers for self-employed people who have a big vision for changing the world with their work. I'm your host, Hannah Cole, artist, design nerd, tax pro, author of Taxes for Humans, and the founder of Sunlight Tax. If you're a creative, wellness, or mission-driven entrepreneur who wants to grow your business sustainably, manage your taxes, and build a stash of fuck you money so you can control your time and have a bigger impact with your work, you are in the right place. Hello there, beautiful. I am coming to you. Gosh, feels like a dark time, certainly for our country. And, frankly, also behind the scenes here at Sunlight Tax right now. So I thought I would share some thoughts with you today that are pretty vulnerable about where I'm at personally, but also at the same time speak to those of you, which is probably all of you, who are thinking about what's going on in our country right now, what you should be doing about it, what you can do about it. And I want to also just touch on the idea of selling, of continuing to make a living during times of enormous upheaval, okay? In part, I think I have learned the value of parsing this issue so that it is possible to continue to make a living and doing good while supporting your family and your needs. And I want to talk to you today about that very thing because I've seen some sort of unhealthy attitudes about it, some unsustainable, self-damaging attitudes out there. And I just thought I could provide a little help here to frame what is important for you. So hopefully this will be really helpful. Okay, so let's get into it. I have been getting so many emails, and when I'm giving my tax workshops, I'm starting to get into the thick, heavy part of my work season. And in my tax workshops, I am getting a lot of inquiries about not paying taxes because you're angry at ICE, angry at what the government is doing. Now, of course, who isn't angry at ICE? And it's outrageous. I don't need to repeat what you are already watching every day and know in your bones is wrong in our country right now. Gestapo-like, well-funded, masked group just, pulling people off the streets, gunning down law-abiding citizens in the streets. I don't need to tell you how horrible that is and how much it feels like something needs to stop. Something needs to change. This is an emergency. But let's talk about where we go from here. So I'm getting a ton of inquiries about tax protests, so many that, in fact, in Sunlight Tax, I have now created a templated email because I have an internal rule in Sunlight Tax. If we get the same email inquiry 3 times, we create a template. So we have a template now about people asking, what about a tax protest? Is it a good idea? Should I do it? What happens? So I'm not going to here today give you the full tax protest 411, although I will in the show notes link you to an article I wrote about that because I want you to know the numbers and how damaging it is to you, the protester, and how absolutely futile it is in terms of actually registering your complaint anywhere that makes a difference. So it's something I could not more strongly disagree with, though I understand the motivation, of course. It's incredibly damaging to you, and it doesn't change the thing that you want to change. So if you want to be effective, please do not go down the path of not paying your taxes, okay? I will link to the article that I wrote about that. It's really important. I want you to know the numbers, but I also want you to be aware that when you fail to pay your taxes, you are charged interest, and that does not go away. So you can grow and grow and grow your debt to the point where the government will begin garnishing your wages, leaning your property, and eventually throw you in jail. Not to mention, An authoritarian government is looking for an excuse to throw you into jail, and a tax protest is a very simple way for them to get you. So please, don't let's all ruin the opposition, ruin the resistance by getting us all thrown in jail. Okay, let's not do that. There are more effective ways to register our horror with this situation with ICE and to effectively put up a protest and make this Gestapo-like force stop. Okay, so I want to present two better options. One, I won't redo the work or even go over all the elements of it, but someone that I listen to, I don't love everything about him, but I listen to and respect, Scott Galloway. He's got a very popular podcast called the Prof G Pod, and he talks about markets and economics. And he has suggested and created a website for a campaign called Resist and Unsubscribe. Okay, I'm going to link to Resist and Unsubscribe in the show notes, but you can Google that phrase and you will find this website. The idea here is that this is an option that actually hurts Trump where it counts and where he pays attention. He does not really care when the left is up in arms. In fact, he kind of likes it, right? And they didn't stop killing people when the left was upset. They started paying attention and changing things when it was hurting him politically. And one of the things that has hurt him politically is the markets. So when the market is affected, Trump pays attention, okay? And the Republicans in Congress pay attention. So a targeted, sustained economic boycott, and please understand I'm saying targeted, right? I think this is a really effective way to go, and I absolutely advocate it, and I am doing it myself. Just this morning, I unsubscribed from Apple TV. I've made a list of companies I'm going to try to avoid. But here's the basic idea, and I will let you find the details at the Resist and Unsubscribe website. So the proposal is a 1-month targeted boycott. So the purpose of it being 1 month is that this needs to be a sustained enough economic impact that it hurts the markets, and that it makes the Congress and the Senate pay attention and the president pay attention. Also, it needs to get the attention of the companies that are making the actions of this lawless government possible. Okay, so it's a 1-month boycott for the month of February, boycotting the tech giants, the top 7 tech companies that are basically driving, they are 30% of the S&P 500. Okay, so included in that, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, NVIDIA. Scott Galloway has details and has broken out on that website, Resist and Unsubscribe, a very effective, the consumer-facing parts of those companies that you can register your complaint with, basically by unsubscribing from their services, okay, for the month of February. All right. In addition, Resist and Unsubscribe includes boycotting the companies who have direct government contracts with ICE. Okay, Marriott is one of these because it is housing detainees there in Marriott hotels. So I just canceled my Marriott Bonvoy membership, and also FedEx. And there's a list of other companies that have government contracts with ICE. So we're talking tech giants and ICE contractors. Okay, that's who it's about. I also just want to give some basic guidelines that I think make for a good movement. And one of those things is no purity tests, okay? It is really hard. These companies have done a very good job of embedding themselves in our life, right? We have snow days here in Asheville, where I'm coming to you from. And if I don't have Netflix and school is canceled, I just cannot do my job. I cannot serve anyone. So for me, canceling Netflix, I experienced so much family resistance that it just felt impossible. So I'm canceling Apple TV. We canceled Paramount. There are other things that we can cancel. People are going to have to decide what is doable for them. I think resistance to the best of your ability is good enough. I'm not here for purity tests. Let's not police each other for our imperfection. Let's cheer our wins, okay? We need that. And I think that's an attitude shift in general that is much more effective for building a broad tent and building a coalition and really building a movement. That's what we need here. So that's what I'm recommending personally. I'm going to raise my hand and say, I am not perfect. If you need me to be perfect, I will never meet that bar for anything at all, ever. Though I do a pretty fucking good job. So if you need your allies to be perfect, you will find yourself alone. Let's be kind to each other and recognize that we all have our limits. Okay. So definitely check out Resist and Unsubscribe, that website. I will link it in the show notes. I think that's a great idea. I plan to participate. I'm recording this podcast on February 1st, and I have begun these steps myself. Okay. I hope you'll join me. Also, for political action, indivisible.org is an organization that spun up around the first Trump administration, and it has grown and been doing beautiful, good organizing work nationwide. It is in 50 states. There is an Indivisible events calendar that you can attach to your Google Calendar. I have done this, and they have online trainings about different kinds of resistance, civic action. Some is just about training how to know your rights, how to call your senators. They give you scripts, call scripts. If you have been asking yourself the question, what can I do? Indivisible.org has the answer for you. In fact, they've lined it up really beautifully to make it as easy as possible for you. So I also highly recommend that you go to indivisible.org, see what they're organizing around right now, join in if you can, call some senators, do what they say. It's great. And maybe add their calendar to your calendar. Okay. Now I just want to shift a little bit and say, what about small businesses? What about people like us? Yeah, let's dig into this one. So I beg you, please don't hurt small businesses. Let's not throw good, ethical small businesses in with the same tech giants who are bribing the government right now, okay? If you are out there serving a need with ethics, the world still needs you, and you still need to feed your family, okay? If you're a small business, you are already struggling mightily. The tariffs, the economic uncertainty, immigration raids, there are a million reasons why it has become much harder to run your small business right now in the U.S. In fact, I every day rant to my partner about why there is not more media attention to how much small businesses right now are suffering in this administration. I just want to be here to say to you, you have every right to continue your good work, okay? Let's not punish everybody who calls himself a business. All businesses are not the same. I certainly include myself in this, but I want to also point out something that I saw that I thought, I wish I could talk to them. And this was on that day of resistance on Friday when we were doing an economic blackout. And that is wonderful. It's a great action. I fully believe in the power of that, although I don't think a day is enough. I think this month-long boycott is a great idea because it's enough to really do some economic damage in a way that frankly doesn't put you at risk at all, which is good in this current environment. But what I saw was a lot of bookstores in particular, because if you know my work, you know how hard I have worked to support independent bookstores as I go on a book tour myself, even though I'm contractually obligated to have an Amazon button on my book website. In case you're wondering why that's there, I'm legally required to have it there. But above it, I have placed a rotating link that goes to independent bookstores, and actually feel very proud of how much business I have been able to send to small, independently owned bookstores across the United States. In fact, my publisher was telling me that they have not seen an author selling at the scale that I am have as much success pushing sales to independent sources like that. So I feel really proud of that support, and I mean it. I want to support wonderful local bookstores. We need them. We need information. We need truth. We need books. We also need the gathering space of a bookstore. They're hubs of intellectual activity, idea exchange. They're hubs of resistance. So let's keep them strong. What I want to talk about that I was seeing was a lot of Instagram posts from small, wonderful bookstores supporting this day of economic blackout and dialing back on making any sales themselves. I think go to the bookstore and spend money if you can. Now, listen, if you can't spend money, of course don't. But if you want to get a book, please, a local bookstore is exactly who you should support. And so I think let's not lump everybody together. Your local independent bookstore that is supporting the economy of ideas and reading and truth, they need us. And I would talk to each one of those bookstore owners and say, you are doing good and wonderful and valuable work. Don't starve yourself to send a message, right? Keep yourself strong. I want that for you. I'm going to also just tell you something now that is frankly really vulnerable for me. A week ago, I began my January launch for my program, Money Bootcamp, which is my program where I help people manage their quarterly taxes, set up on bookkeeping, and build financial freedom. And of course, it was incredibly awkward timing, which I did not have any control over or much control over. It was incredibly awkward timing that, of course, the weekend before my big launch, these particular horrors, the killing of Renee Good had come a week before, and then the weekend before my launch, Alex Preddy was killed. Well, of course, that creates an incredibly difficult environment, and it was very, very challenging to be putting out sales emails in that context. And yet, you know what? I need to pay my employee. I need to pay for my software. It is not wrong that I continue to shop for groceries for my family and pay for my housing. In fact, I need those things in order to sustain and to be here for you for a podcast like this and for tax information that you need. So I was in a position of having to sell at a time that was pretty difficult and that it didn't feel great. So I tried to address it, and I'll address it again here. But I also want to say, sales did not go well. I'm grateful for those people who did join my program, and I will serve them with the full extent of my powers, and I'm proud to do that. But I made about a quarter of the sales that I was expecting to, and frankly, I am not even going to be able to cover my January expenses after that launch. So personally, I am feeling deeply impacted by this administration, just economically. I am suffering. I am having some real existential worry right now. Let me put it that way. And the fact is, I do good work. I do good work ethically. I serve people really well. The people who are in my program, Money Bootcamp, love it and feel very well served by it. And I love them. And I wrote a book to help people do their taxes and bypass big corporations that lobby the U.S. government to keep our tax law complicated and to make sure you stay confused and prevent civic education about taxes and prevent you having the ability to file a tax return for free or even not have to file a return at all, because the government actually could eliminate the ability, the need for us to do tax returns. I wrote this book to help you bypass those companies, right? That was a huge effort I did in the last year. Plus, I wrote a workbook as well, right? Huge effort, which was a huge investment of time during which I was not, gaining any income for this company. And it's really frightening to spend all that energy away from making income in my business and then to watch my business actually suffer to the point I'm not sure I can sustain it. So I just want to bring up how frightening economically it feels for me at this moment, and how much I speak for myself and I speak for others, like those amazing local bookstores who need you right now, really, really need you. If they are serving you well, please don't lump them in with your boycott. Don't lump me in with your boycott. And I also have realized that I think part of the reason that people are not joining my program right now, or why the numbers are down so dramatically, is that a lot of people who I serve are rightfully angry at the government right now. But I would say, in a way I truly do not recommend, they are flirting with the idea of not paying their taxes at all. They don't want to buy my book about how to manage their taxes, and they don't want to join my program that makes quarterly taxes and tax management easier, because they're just saying, I'm not paying at all. So I'm having a moment. I'm having a real moment. I'm struggling. I'm trying to revamp what I can and serve people where they are at right now in this moment. But I'm just coming to you sincerely saying, this is really tough. This is really tough. I am with you. I am fighting ICE myself. I want you to. I want us to take effective political action, but not political action that hurts each other, hurts ourselves, and shoots ourselves in the foot. So, with that, let me just turn this to you and the wonderful work that you do and you put out in the world. You have every right to keep doing it. I hope you will. The world needed you yesterday and it needs you today. So if you are making wonderful work, if you are serving people with ethics, serving them with what they need and want, please keep doing it. Please keep doing it. There is nothing wrong with feeding your family, serving your people at this moment in time. And in fact, just the same way that when you are pregnant, you do not diet, I will say when you are gestating the resistance, don't diet either. Don't calorie restrict at the moment you need your strength, okay? So let's head into this revolution, full speed, full strength. Let's put our effort where it matters, where it makes a difference, where it is effective, and let's support each other at the same time. I will be here. I want to remind you that resources I'm pointing to you in the show notes today, indivisible.org. I want you to pay your taxes, sell, do your good work, and continue to serve people without guilt. Channel your anger into a boycott the month of February, tech giants and the companies contracted with ICE, and organizing. Okay, so indivisible.org has great information. If you're wondering what you can do, it answers that question. Resist and Unsubscribe is Scott Galloway's website about the economic protest boycott that I will be participating in, and I hope you'll join me. And I will be continuing to serve you all throughout tax season and after that. And I hope that if I can serve you well, that you will download my free visual guide to your tax deductions. I hope that you will get my book, this Taxes for Humans, the guide that will help you bypass big unethical tax companies, do your taxes yourself, save a lot of money, and make you feel really empowered. It's an incredible tax guide for self-employed people, and you can get it at sunlighttax.com/book. I also want to let you know that I've been working on the back end on some really juicy bonuses for you when you buy the book directly from me. I have a lot of courses that you can download instantly, as well as some visuals and the best tax organizer you have ever seen, which is, in case you don't know what a tax organizer it is a questionnaire that you fill out all these nitty-gritty questions, and I guide you through what they mean and how to do it. And when you are at the end of the organizer, you have every single piece of information you need to enter into your tax software or hand to your accountant completely done. In other words, that is your last step before your taxes are able to be input and then filed. It is amazing. So if you want that book, if you want my workbook, and if you want a bunch of really juicy bonuses that I have been working on to serve you as well as I possibly can, go to sunlighttax.com/book. And I'll remind you that my program, Money Bootcamp, which is the non-DIY version, it has all of the tools to remind you of every tax deadline, teach you every tax skill, give you my intuitive bookkeeping setup system that helps you calculate and pay your quarterly taxes every quarter, plus guaranteed tax updates for the year and live Q&A sessions for each quarterly tax payment deadline. My program is wonderful, and it's a beautiful community. sunlighttax.com/moneybootcampimpact if you're interested in learning more there. You can also click in the show notes or just go to sunlighttax.com and click the big yellow button in the middle. All right, everyone. Thank you for that. This was a really vulnerable episode. I debated putting it out. I wasn't sure if I should, but I just want to be fully transparent with you. I feel you. What a horrible moment we're having in our country right now. But let's support each other while we take action in the way that is the most effective. All right? So make use of the show notes today. There's lots in there for you. Go out, make your amazing work, serve your amazing community, resist, unsubscribe, take action, and share this episode with a friend. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. It really helps. I'm so grateful. My tax guide, Taxes for Humans, is available wherever you buy books and at sunlighttax.com/book. This podcast is for education and entertainment only. Nothing in this episode should be taken as individual tax or financial advice. You can find all the tools, books, and links I reference at sunlighttax.com/podcast.